This week on the Mixtape Podcast.
We'll either be really fresh or we'll be terribly under rehearsed. So we'll let the audience decide which way round's better for them. I don't know what we did, but I think a lot of people are saying it was their best album in 20 years. How many different producers or how many different snare drums does he use? But every time he hits it, it's him. That's something to aspire to for every drummer. I think just like having your own like kind of signature and sort of just been figuring out how to even sing. Because I've never as I do backing vocals with Ash, but this is the first time I've actually in a recording setup.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Mixtape Podcast. This is where we take a deep dive into the inspirations and influences of my guest as I ask them to select 6 tracks for their imaginary mixtape. Track 1 is an attention grabber. Track 2 is a song they sing in the car or the shower. Track 3 is a cover version. For track 4, I'll ask them to pick a song they wish they could have played to their 18-year-old selves. Track 5 is a song they would use to woo someone. Track 6 is a track that my guest feels doesn't get the attention or recognition that it deserves. Track 6 is for Patreons only, so if you'd like to support the creation of this podcast, it's patreon.com/mixtape podcast, or you can check out the link in the description below. You can join for free or subscribe for as little as $2 a month. There's lots of other Patreon-only content on there, including the opportunity to ask guests a question and to have a personalised mixtape playlist curated by yours truly. There's lots of other ways you can support me, a like or a follow on social media. Again, there's links in the description for that. Or if you are listening on Spotify, you can smash the follow icon or you can rate the podcast. All of these little things go a long way towards growing the platform, and I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, Rick. How are you, mate?
Hello, how you doing?
Very well, thanks, mate. Very well. I'm not sure if you remember, we've spoken before.
I do indeed. I was just about to say it feels like just yesterday we did this.
I know, mate. Yeah. Let me let you into a little secret, Rick. I wasn't sure whether I was going to tell you this or not, right? When I spoke to you before, I'd hosted 3 radio shows, and you were the very first person I ever interviewed in my life.
Covered it very well, like a pro right from episode 1.
Thanks very much, mate. I appreciate that. Appreciate your kind words. Hello and welcome to this mixtape for KCR 102.5 FM and the mixtapepodcast.com. And joining me tonight, once again, it is an absolute pleasure to say good day to Rick from Ash. How are you, Rick?
Good day, everyone in Perth. Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah, I'm just in Edinburgh here, and I'll be doing a few interviews and looking out the window all day. The weather's definitely looking a lot more Scottish right now. It's got a little bit rainy, blowy, and very cloudy, but we'll see none of that in Perth when I get there, I'm sure.
So you are coming back to Australia again. I'll just rattle off your tour dates real quick. October the 6th, Rosemount Hotel in Perth. 8th, the Gov in Adelaide. 10th, the Triffid in Brisbane. The 11th, 170 Russell in Melbourne. And the 12th, the Manning Bar in Sydney. It's metropolistouring.com for tickets for those shows. Rick, I know we mentioned it last time, but the Rosemount Hotel took a home from home for you, right?
It is, yeah, but I think this is the first time ever we've started a tour at the Rosemount, so that'll be the new thing this time. I mean, I think in the past we've always done it the other way around. We've gone out to, if I can get my coasts right, the East Coast first, and then yeah, we seem to for I don't know how many years, but the Rosemount's been the last on the list. So we'll either be really fresh or we'll be terribly under rehearsed. So we'll let the audience decide which way round's better for them. It's pretty brutal no matter what. I think this time we're stopping off on the way. We're doing the first show of that run is going to be in Singapore. Actually, so we'll have at least one show under our belt and something to maybe break up the jet lag. So yeah, I guess this way we find out what the best way to tour Australia is, whether it's going like Perth, then east, or whether the other way is better. But we're either way, we're very glad to be coming back. We're quite surprised actually because it's not been that long since we played there. I think it's only about 18 months really. So we're surprised to have have an offer. We kind of figured it would maybe be like 2025 or 26 when we're back, but
Yeah.
yeah,
The singles
great.
tour you're on this time, and when we spoke before, you were excited about the album of new material that you had just about ready to come out. That obviously ended up being Race the Night. How was that received, and how was it for you putting out like an album of new material?
I did a reception to it. It's been absolutely amazing. I don't know what we did, but I think a lot of people are saying, it was their best album in 20 years, and it's like I think sort of just the critical reception to it has been great. So yeah, we're really pleased with it, and we're still touring at the minute. We're doing like our second, well, I guess the first season of festivals
Mm.
this summer. But off the back of that, we've done Latitude Festival for the first time, which is one that's been on our radar for the last couple of albums, but we finally got it this time. And that was the last gig we did just about less than 2 weeks ago, and it was kind of like all the the people that work with us are going, this is the big one, this is the really important one, and yeah, couldn't have gone better. So it's like when you're doing sort of a festival that's got that sort of kind of status to it, and you kind of like look up halfway through the gig and you're seeing people trying to push into the tent who can't get in, you feel like, yeah, job done. So yeah, that was super exciting. But it's really cool festivals. Just in our day, we had a band called Big Special. I don't know if you're familiar with them from the
I'm a
UK.
massive, massive fan of Big Special. I've been
Oh
pestering them
yeah,
since Shithouse came out, and it had about 500 streams on Spotify. I've been pestering them and their manager for an interview, and they're coming to Australia in November.
oh
And yeah,
fantastic.
what an album, what a band,
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely
buzzing.
brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, they supported us. I think it was like the first gig we did in Race the Night. Well, we were, well, I think was it the first gig. It was we were like, instead of rehearsing, why don't we just do a warm up show instead? So we did a tiny warm up show, and Big Special supported that. And it was just like, I think Shithouse had just been out. But yeah, the kind of like the roller coaster they've been on in the last 18 months as well is amazing. They're just like all over Six Music here,
Mm.
and they played Latitude as well, and I actually got up and played with them. So well, you mentioned pestering the manager as like their manager we know quite well, so
Right,
I'll give
okay,
him a
yeah,
nudge. I'll give him a nudge for you.
yeah. No,
Um,
because I initially spoke to him about Slow Dive because he's Slow Dive's tour manager as well, or he was.
yeah. Well, he
Um,
tour managed us for a little bit as well.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah. And then as I say, got talking to him, and yeah, that's my album of the year, Post Industrial Hometown Blues.
yeah.
Wow, it's the best thing I've heard for a long, long time.
Same
I
here.
play him
His
heaps on the
lyrics,
show.
yeah, his lyrics are absolutely amazing as well.
Oh,
It's just
yeah,
just a brilliant record.
yeah. What is that? The opening to Dig. The moon looks like a thumbprint on a dirty window. That
Yeah,
just
yeah,
that just blew me away. That like yeah, it's so
yeah,
good. Yeah, if anyone's listening, now I'm not even going to say anyone's listening to this who's unfamiliar because anyone who listens to my radio show will will be familiar because I absolutely cane them on the radio show all the time. So most of my listeners will already be aware. But yeah, they're coming to Australia in November, so they've promised me an interview. So fingers crossed, we'll get there.
yeah.
Talking festivals, Rick, I've got to ask you, mate. I was looking at your gig schedule on the website. Gone Wild with Bear Grylls. What is premise there? Like what's happening at that festival?
I mean, if you want to have me on in a few weeks, I can let you know what it's all about. But yeah, I only got the Bear Grylls connection. Like we were out the last time. Someone's like Bear Grylls. That weekend. We're doing Alex James's festival, big festival, which is the first of it. We're doing like 3 shows that weekend. So we're doing that. Then we're flying to Norway to do a festival. On the festival's the next day, so I don't know how we're going to get there in time, but apparently we are.
Mm.
And then we're coming back to do Bear Grylls Festival the day after that as well. So it's going to be a pretty hectic weekend and quite surreal. So I've honestly no idea what we're in for.
I imagine I had visions of like you foraging for like your instruments somewhere so you can play a show. Do you know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Okay.
doing.
Well, yeah. Well, if you make it down to the Gov, not the Gov, the Rosemount,
Yeah,
I can let you know.
yeah, no, definitely, mate. Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely going to try and get there for sure. One of the things I've started doing, Rick, with my Patreon page for the podcast and the radio show is I put it out there to Patreon members to ask guests a question. And I've got a question for you from Michael. He's actually in a Perth band called Imba, who are amazing. And he's a drummer himself. And let
Okay.
me just get the question up on my phone so I can get it word for word. Okay, so Michael from Imba would like to know. He said, "Is there a particular song or drum sequence from another band that you love playing or find yourself drawn to naturally when you sit behind the kit? Part of the reason Goldfinger gets stuck in my head so much is I often find myself drawn to playing it when I sit behind my kit warming up and getting into the session. It's a really fun track to play."
That's an interesting question, actually. I think I'd probably go for the opening track from them Crooked Vultures record, which is Dave
Okay.
Grohl, one of
Yeah.
my favorite drummers of all time. But I think there's like with it, he's really like, not only a great drummer, but he writes great hooks, and not many people write hooks on a drum kit.
Mm.
But that song is just filled with them. It's like every drum fill is just like so memorable, and it's just like such an integral part to the song. I think it's like I've seen like Josh Homme interviewed talking about him, and it's just like it seems like when they're writing stuff, he's just like he'll play this thing, and I'll just be like, no, that's just really weird. But he'll just play it over and over again, and just like before you know it, it's just in your brain, and it's a hook, and it's like an essential part of the song. So yeah, I'd definitely go with that. I mean, I don't think there's probably better drummers out there, but in terms of sort of just like writing sort of memorable stuff, like everything he does, it's like even it's like how many different producers or how many different snare drums does he use, but every time he hits it, it's him. That's something to aspire to for every drummer, I think. Just like having your own like kind of signature kind of sound, being that instantly recognizable is just amazing. But yeah, great question.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for that question, Michael. It's patreon.com/mixtape podcast. When we chatted before, Rick, I'm not going to give you too much of an hard time about it because I know you've been super busy with the new record and everything else. But we talked about Burned as Witches, and I thought, just before I chat to you, I'll have a look at the Bandcamp and see what's been going on with Burned as Witches. Zippo, mate, nothing.
Nothing.
New
Yeah.
material,
Well,
nothing at all. Is it on the back
I know
burner or what's the story?
it's definitely not in the back burner. It's all recorded. Basically, the stuff that I threw out as well. I mean, the quality of it's awful. It was more a case of I just like I come up with the name and was just like did a bit of a Google search and was going like, okay, because everything I'd Googled at that point was coming up. There's already banned. It's like, okay, great. It's just like I come up and when I searched for it, I was just like, oh, that's taken. I was like, I really like that as well. It's just like started thinking, it's like there's a lot of stuff that can be done with that name. There's a lot of scope with it. So I was just like, I've got to put something out. So I just like flung out a couple of. In fact, I think at the time when I put them out as well, I didn't test positive for COVID, but I'm pretty sure it was, and I was like, I was pretty much hallucinating while I was mixing them, and I was just like, right, get them out in Bandcamp. It's just like, I was just like lying in bed for like 4 days, just with like the sweats, hallucinations, whatever. This was after we'd done a like massive gig in Belfast. I got sick on stage as well, so it was just right, I'm in a really weird space. It's like if I do this now and put it out, I've got the name. So yeah, I mean, like since we last spoke, I've finished off lyrics, and I think it was last summer I recorded the drums, and basically it was a guy who we did some drums with for Race of the Night. Quite friendly. I've known him for a while, but he just sold a studio. I was doing this like he's made it this basic mobile rig so he can record anywhere. So I was like the guinea pig for that. So I did that, and it's like there's like I'm paying for everything, so it's like a zero budget kind of record.
Yeah.
Everything else I've done in the spare room where I have my kit set up at home, and sort of just been figuring out how to even sing. Because I've never as I do backing vocals with Ash, but this is the first time I've actually like in a recording setup done that, and sort of like just like it's been a big learning curve, but I was actually down with my engineer friend Graham, and we're like very close, and he's I think maybe sending me sort of like mixes. Hopefully today, I'm going to see him tomorrow and have a chat about them. But we're very close to finishing. So but it's like, when's anything finished? Because then I've got to think about mastering it, then artwork and stuff. But it's just like kind of like everything's just like kind of one step at a time. Because obviously, I'm here chatting to you about my day job, if you like. So it's like we've been pretty busy in that front as well. But I'm very close. I'm very very happy with it as well. So
how do you think you're going to manage the transition between coming out from behind the drum kit and fronting the band, if you ever get to that point?
I've no idea. I mean, that's another thing. It's like, part of me is like, do I put together a band? Can I afford to put together a band? I'm like, it's like seeing like Billy No Mates at Glastonbury, like the previous year, and her doing stuff by herself, and just all the grief she got for that. I think it's kind of interesting because it's like that's the reality for new bands. You know what I mean? It's like bands can't afford to have bands, and even like saying we did we did a festival with Dexys in Ireland a couple of weeks ago, and I'd seen them also at Glastonbury this year. And he's using a lot of backing tracks, and he's got like a 3-piece band. It's like Dexys have got this huge catalog, this huge reputation, and he's having to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, part of me's going like, do I do it that way and kind of make a point of it so I can actually talk about the realities
the issue? Yeah, sure.
Of the music industry in 2024. So that remains to be seen. And it's like, I get the album done. Once I can sort of like get the mental space to spend a bit of time trying to rehearse and think about live.
Yeah,
I'll do that as well. But there's options there. But it's like, who knows what's going to happen? It's just like the whole process has been, it's been a real kind of learning curve for me, and it's been an education in itself. And I'm kind of like very proud of what I've done, but it's like I've also got a day job as well. So it's like like that's always going to be the priority. But
For anyone,
been a busy year.
For anyone interested in Rick's side project, Burned as Witches, there'll be a link in the description if you're listening on the podcast or the YouTube channel to the Bandcamp, where you can go out and check out some of Rick's COVID-inspired, hallucinating demos. Yeah, Burned as Witches, fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And I think, if I remember rightly, I gave one of the tracks a world exclusive airplay last time when I played it on the show. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, Rick, let's drop into your mixtape track choices now, mate, while we've got a few minutes left to talk about them. So my show's called The Mixtape, obviously, and whenever I kick off the radio show or I make up a compilation or, back in the day, a mixtape or burn a CD, always go in with a attention grabber. So what did you pick for your attention grabber, mate? Track one.
I've picked Modest Mouse, and I've picked The World at Large, which is, I think, an absolute banger. I think they're a really, really unique band. And it's a track from it's going back a few years. Actually surprised when I was looking at tracks to pick for this. It was just like, wow, that album is 20 years old. But
yeah,
I don't know, he's got something about him. His vocal style and delivery is just like beautifully crafted songs with just this absolute chaos over the top. And I can't help but listen anytime I hear it. It's just like, wow. It's just it's very kind of heart on your sleeve and just like musically brilliant. You can't help but just be sucked in by the whole thing. There's not many people that can capture a performance like that in the studio as well. It's like I think unhinged would be a pretty good description of it. And to be honest, they're not a band I listen to that much, but it's just like I was kind of like looking for a track for this, and just like I saw the name. It was just like, oh god, I've not listened to that in ages, and it's just like I remember like at the time, I think it might have been even a few years after the record came out. I kind of got onto it, but for a long time, I just listened to that album to death. Just couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, great choice to kick it off with, mate. Fantastic one. And track two of your mixtape, Rick. In what song do you sing when you're on your own in the car or the shower? What's your go-to shower track, mate?
It's generally in the car where the singing comes out. It's just like I'm on my own. It's like I just referencing back to the Burned Witch is a lot of why it took so long. It was like I needed to have the house to myself just to,
Oh yeah.
you know, it's like because like my wife works from home a lot, so it was just like one day a week when she was in the office. It was like, right, I got the chance to try this out. So yeah, but yeah, in the car is the place for me. And I think I was doing it just a couple of days ago. And I was driving by myself, and it happened to be El Scorcho by Weezer,
Oh
which
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
it's a big record for the band as well. Remember that when that came out, going like this, God, this sounds really weird, this record. And then just like it was one of those ones. The more I listened to it, the more I just get sucked into the whole like kind of production of it, which is it's very live record, but it's just like the sonics of it are just kind of brilliant. And it's a shame that record is sort of like almost forgotten about in the Weezer catalog, but I think it's by far their best.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like just happened to come on shuffle, and I was just like started singing along to it, and was just like I kind of belt this one out quite well now.
There's
Windows
a Weezer tribute band in Perth called what are they called? Say It Isn't Chromo. They're called. Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I've seen them a few months back. Yeah, they're really really good. Well worth a trip out if you're in Perth and you get the chance. Yeah, they're really good. All right, track 3, Rick, is pick your favorite cover version. What did you pick for that, mate?
I've been sort of going through a bunch of Nirvana covers, which I started off was going to be where did you sleep last night, and then I was like, nah, it's too depressing. And then it was like, oh, maybe Man Who Sold the World, because it's like a real kind of surprising at the time. I think for me it was quite a surprise to hear Kurt Cobain covering David Bowie, but I was like, in fact, that's still on my list. But I was just as it was before I was starting, I was like, actually, you know what? I'm going to go with Molly's Lips, which I think was what I think when I first heard that, I didn't even know it was a cover version, and it's like I think it's like a Peel session,
Right.
which
Okay.
was I think they put it as a B side and ended up on Incesticide, but I was just I guess it's so in your face but upbeat for Nirvana. It's kind of unusual, and like I just thought it was one of their songs, and then found out that it actually was a cover. And it's like if you hear the original of it, it's just like it's so quirky and weird. But Kurt Cobain was
Mm,
an absolute champion. A lot of bands that no one had ever heard of,
yeah.
and it's just amazing. Just the performance of that. It's the recording of it. It's perfect. It's like I think Nirvana were one of these bands. I think some of their live studio work kind of really captured the energy of the band almost better than else. Really, it was like but maybe In Utero, Beanie captured a little bit of that, but that was I guess a very different period for the band. It was like
Sure. Sure.
post success and stuff. Whereas this is it's just that they probably hadn't quite broken, but they were just riding that crest up to
Mm,
Nevermind when they recorded it, and used that kind of that period for a band's a very very interesting, unique kind of
yeah.
period. For any band that breaks that,
Sure.
that's just
Yeah.
when you're riding that wave before it sort of crashes, and you end up
The inevitable crash.
disillusioned and jaded and
Yeah.
whatever. It's just like it's just joyous for a band who in hindsight are associated with a lot of very dark things.
Mm,
It's a
yeah.
pure joy.
I think it's always a sign of a good cover when you don't realise it's a cover. We talk about cover versions a lot on this show, and when you don't know it's a cover, that's always a good sign of an absolute quality version. Like "Step On" by Happy Mondays springs to mind
Yeah.
when you talk about that, and I only found out recently that "It Must Be Love" by Madness is a cover version. I had no idea. I've,
Yeah.
I've loved that song for like 35 years almost, and I had no idea it was a cover version. Yeah, so I'm still
Yeah.
learning.
I think I might have known that, but I probably only found out recently as well. And they just,
Yeah,
they just own that. They
yeah,
absolutely own it
yeah,
and
yeah,
make it
no,
their
for sure. Labby Sifri done the original. Yeah, unreal, unbelievable. Yeah, okay, Rick, what song do you wish you could play to your 18-year-old self?
Well, we did talk about Big Special earlier on, and they made the
Yes.
list. So I've gone This Here Ain't Water, which
Brilliant.
fantastic song. But yeah, I chose that. I wanted to get some new stuff in because they
Sure. Yeah.
my band here at the minute. But yeah, in terms of playing to my 18-year-old self, it's it kind of like for me, it's about the drinking, which I think
Mm.
I think I don't know if we talked about this much in the last time we spoke, but a big part of the reason that I've found the confidence to the do the burn as witches stuff is quitting drinking.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I think it for me, it like for a long time it was sort of like covering up a lot of like imposter syndrome and stuff. So if I can play that to my 18-year-old self and go like, listen, you might think this is helping, but really it's not.
Yeah. We did discuss your sobriety, but only when I told you what a shoey was. Do you remember when I told you about the shoey? Doing it out of
Oh,
doing a, and then you went,
oh,
"Oh, I'm not keen. I'm not keen on that because I'm teetotal." And I was like, "Oh no, I don't believe it."
no, don't worry. I mean, it's like I like at the same time, I don't want to be like all like doom and gloom and like, oh yeah, booze is bad as well.
Yeah.
For a long time, I thought it was great and it was a lot of fun for a long time
Yeah.
as well, but
Yeah.
it stopped becoming fun. But
Yeah.
I have discovered I do it's not a problem for me to be around people drinking or talking about
Mm.
drinking or whatever. It's
Sure.
just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I just feel like I've had my time with it, and it's like in
Mm.
hindsight, it's like it's like is drink the problem or are you the problem? It's like
Mm.
your relationship to it's the problem. I think it was there's something like Billy Connolly, like he's talking to like Michael Parkinson or whoever's interviewing him. He's mentions Michael Caine, who said, I stopped drinking all the time because I didn't want to get to the point where I couldn't sit down and have a meal and enjoy a glass of wine with it. And I kind of wish I'd kind of like stopped before I got to that point. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
No, I'm in a very similar situation with gambling. I haven't had a gamble for 5.5 years. And yeah, similar thing. Like I can't. You know what it's like when you're recovering. It's an absolute, complete and utter no-no. There's no middle ground. You can't just go,
yeah,
I'll just have one. Like it's just an absolute no-no. And like, yeah, I can sit with mates who are betting in the pub and whatever, or betting on their phones. Not a problem. But yeah, I do sometimes wish like, it's fun when you're watching a game of football to have a bet on. Do you know what I mean? But I can't. I know I can't. I
yeah,
never ever can in ever again.
yeah,
Yeah, and like you say, is it the drink that's the problem, or is it me? Like, and
yeah,
not everyone has a gambling problem who gambles, so it must be me. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the way I look at it. But yeah,
Yeah.
no. So yeah, I feel you, mate.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing I found like really like hit home was I read the Mark Lanigan autobiography. Now
Mm,
he's talking about addiction and how it's like well he was clean for like a long period of time, and he thought that I started again. It's like kind of starting from the start,
mm,
but like his counselor said, well, it's like you haven't ever stopped if you go back into it. So it's like if I've stopped 5 years, it's not like I've reversed the drinking by 5 years. It will
yeah,
be still 5 years on. I'll be
exactly
drinking
the
like
same. Yeah,
so,
yeah. All
yeah.
right, just very quickly, the last two tracks, Rick, because I'm aware we're getting a bit close to our time. Track 5, Rick, if you were going to try and woo someone with your mixtape and let them know you were romantically interested, what would be your track choice for that?
I was wondering why I'd only got five, but you said there's two left. I've obviously
Yeah.
skipped one
Okay. Yeah.
so that was the one I skipped, and maybe that's for a reason. I mean, I think if you asked my wife how romantic I was on a scale of 1 to 10, it would probably be pretty close to one. But
Right.
I
Okay.
did maybe let's choose a Prince song. Nothing compares to you.
Oh,
Um,
magic. That's two
uh,
days in a row. Yes.
oh, I know what is this actually crossed by when I was thinking about it before I actually sat down to do the list. That was one in my head. And the
Yeah.
reason for it why is I don't understand people that like Prince that so much.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yesterday, I interviewed Elise Rid. She's a singer from a Swedish metal band called Amaranth, and she chose that as a cover version, and she sang it to me. Oh, my little heart was fluttering away. Yeah, unreal. Yeah, It was so
Don't worry,
good.
I'm not.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to top that. So we'll just leave. We'll just
All
park
right.
that
Yeah.
right there.
Well, part that right. Very quickly, Rick. Track 6 is something that you feel is a little bit underappreciated. Doesn't get the recognition it deserves, mate.
Maybe not so much about the song, but I think the band. I think is the Breeders, who I think are just like it's an album, like especially the album Last Splash. I just come back to, again and again. I'll just go through phases of listening to it loads, and I mean, I love the Pixies, but like if every time I kind of go away, it's just that album's just like mind blowing. It's just like I love the song. I guess sonically, I guess if you compare that to Pinkerton, there's a kind of similar thing going on there. It's like that production is just like it ain't polished, but it's just this raw sound of the band. I think it really kind of captures an honest picture of the band. They're not trying to be slick with it, or it's just like this is who we are. And and Kim Deal's voice is and Kelly's as well, the backing vocals, Joseph, just amazing. So I chose Divine Hammer, which to be honest, it could be any track off that record. They were almost in there with the cover version question as well. I mean, I probably could have done the list about
6 Breeders tracks
just on that album alone.
All right, Rick, thanks so much for coming on the show. We're out of time. I could chat to you all night, mate. Never mind. Really looking forward to seeing you at the Rosemount, October the 6th, metropolistouring.com for tickets if you're interested in that one. Safe travels down under, mate. I hope the jet lag doesn't catch you too much. I'll see you when you get here. Take it easy, mate.
Amazing. All right. Always great to chat to you, Mark. And
pleasure,
we'll see you in a few months.
Yeah. See you soon, mate. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Nice one. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mixtape podcast. All the links that you will need are in the description below. Link to my Patreon, my guest website and social media, my social media, and the link to the Mixtape tracks playlist as chosen by today's guest. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.